Two guys, same age, same paycheck, same $40,000 sitting in the bank. One buys a rental house. The other puts it all in the stock market. 20 years later, they're both worth about the same. But one of them earned it on nights and weekends with a phone that never stopped ringing, and the other one barely lifted a finger. So which one actually made the smarter move? Here's the problem with every version of this debate you've ever heard. The real estate guy swears property is king. The stock guy swears the market wins. And both of them decided who won before they ever did the math. So today we're doing it differently. We run the real numbers on both, the ones people brag about and the ones they quietly leave out. And by the end, you'll know exactly which one will actually make you rich, based on your life. Let me introduce our two guys, because this whole thing makes more sense when you can watch it happen to real people. Call them Danny and Sean, both 30 years old. Both make about $55,000 a year. Both have $40,000 saved. The only thing different is what they do with it. Danny buys a rental. He puts his $40,000 down on a $200,000 house, takes a mortgage on the rest, and his payment lands around $1,065 a month. He finds a tenant paying $1,600 a month. So on paper, he pockets about $535 every month for basically owning a house. Danny feels like the smartest guy at the barbecue. He drives past that house and thinks, that's mine. Sean does something nobody notices. He drops his $40,000 into an index fund, which just means he owns a tiny slice of thousands of companies all at once. He sets it to pull $300 more from his account every month, and then he forgets about it. When people ask what he's investing in, he says index funds, and they change the subject. No house to show off, no story, just a number on a screen. So right away, one of these looks way more impressive than the other. And that feeling? That's the first trap. Because feelings and math are two very different things, and this is where most people get fooled. Look at Danny's $535 a month. Over 3 years, his rent minus his mortgage adds up to around $19,000. That's the number he tells people. That's the number that makes real estate sound like a cheat code. Now watch what actually comes out of it. Property taxes, about $2,400 a year. Insurance, another $1,200. In year 2, his water heater dies, $1,200 gone. A roof leak in year 3, another $2,000. And for 1 month, the place sits empty between tenants. So that's rent he never collects, plus the cost to clean it and list it again. Add all of that up over 3 years, and it eats around $16,000 of his $19,000. So Danny's real profit after 3 years is about $3,000. Not $19,000, $3,000. And that's before he counts a single one of the hundreds of hours he spent being a landlord. Meanwhile, Sean put in his $40,000 plus his $300 a month. And doing absolutely nothing, his account has grown to around $65,000. No phone calls, no busted water heater, no tenant. He hasn't thought about it once. Now, if I stopped right there, you'd think real estate is a trap and stocks always win. But that's not the honest story. So let me show you the stuff the landlord actually deals with, and then the weapon that makes real estate dangerous in a good way. Being a landlord has costs nobody puts on the thumbnail. Your place sits empty about a month a year on average, and an empty house still has a mortgage. You're supposed to set aside 1 to 2% of the home's value every year just for maintenance. That's a few thousand a year that disappears into faucets and pipes. Then come the big ones, the roof, the furnace, the AC unit, and those don't cost a few hundred. They hit in chunks of $5,000 to $15,000, and always at the worst time. If you hire someone to manage it all, that's another cut of every rent check. And the nightmare every landlord fears: a tenant who just stops paying and knows how to drag out getting removed for months. which can wipe out a whole year of profit by itself. None of that shows up in the brochure. So stocks win, right? Not so fast, because here's where real estate hits back hard. When Sean put in 40,000, he's growing 40,000. But when Danny put in 40,000, he controls a $200,000 house. That's the bank's money working for him, and it's the single biggest advantage real estate has. Because when that house goes up in value, Danny doesn't earn on his 40,000, he earns on the whole 200,000. Even at a slow 3 or 4% a year, that's around $7,000 of growth in a year on a $40,000 investment. That's called leverage, and stocks can't easily touch it. Real estate's got a couple more tricks too. The tax system lets landlords write off the building's value as if it's wearing out, even in years the house is actually going up, so a chunk of that rent comes in tax-free. There's house hacking, where you live in one part and rent out the rest and basically kill your own rent while building wealth. And because every house is different and priced by regular people, not a computer, you can actually find a deal, snag something for less than it's worth. You can't do that with a stock, where the whole world sees the same price you do. So real estate, done right, is a real wealth machine. That part is true. But now let me show you the quiet thing stocks do that sneaks up on everybody. It's called compounding, and it just means your gains start making their own gains. Slow and boring at first, then it snowballs. By year 10, Danny's house has climbed in value and his loan's been shrinking, so his ownership in it is worth maybe $180,000. Real money, no question. But Sean, doing nothing this whole time, is sitting around $165,000 too. They're neck and neck. Except Danny got there through 10 years of tenants, repairs, and midnight phone calls, and took on a mountain of debt to do it, all riding on one single house in one single neighborhood. Sean spread across thousands of companies, borrowed nothing, and never lost one night of sleep. Run it out to 20 years, and they land in the same range, somewhere around 400 to 500,000 each. Same finish line, completely different race. Danny worked for his. Sean waited for his. And here's the part that quietly decides it. If Sean just bumps his monthly from 300 to 500, a couple $100 more, his 20-year number jumps way past Danny's. Because in stocks, adding more money just compounds faster, no extra effort. For Danny to grow, he has to go buy another house, take on another loan, find another tenant, and double all the headaches. One of these scales by adding money, the other scales by adding your whole life to it. Now let me be just as honest about stocks, because they are not free money either. The market drops, and sometimes it drops hard. In 2008, it fell about 37%. Imagine watching your $150,000 turn into $95,000 in a few weeks. Most people can't stomach that, so they panic and sell at the very bottom, which locks in the loss. And that is how regular people actually lose money in stocks. Not from the market, from their own nerves. Stocks also don't hand you a check every month like rent does. And you don't get that leverage. Your money controls only itself. And I know some of you still feel like the stock market is just a fancy casino. It's not, and this matters. When you buy a stock, you own a real piece of a real company. It goes up when that company actually grows, sells more, opens more locations, makes more profit. A casino is pure chance, dice, and luck, with nothing underneath. This is owning a slice of a business that's out there working every day. Very different thing. So we've run both sides, honestly. Real estate can make more, but it costs you time, hassle, debt, and risk. Stocks make about the same or more, quietly. But they cost you nerve and give you no monthly check. So which one will actually make you rich? The honest answer is, it depends which person you are. And here's how to know in about 30 seconds. Ask yourself 3 things. 1. Do you have time and patience for hassle, chasing tenants, handling repairs, being on call? Or do you want to set it up and never think about it? 2. Are you comfortable taking on big debt and using leverage? Or does owing that much money keep you up at night? 3. In your actual town, does the rent you could charge really beat all those costs? Or is your market too expensive for the numbers to work? If you want it simple, hands off, no debt, and something you can grow just by adding money, stocks are your answer, and honestly, that's most people with a full-time job and no spare hours. But if you've got the time, the stomach for the grind, a real feel for your local market, and you'll treat it like an actual business instead of a side thing, real estate can absolutely beat stocks and hand you that leverage nothing else offers. Both are right. They're just right for different people. And now you know which one is you. Here's the real trap, the one that actually keeps people broke. It was never picking real estate or picking stocks. It's picking either one because of a headline, or a guy at a party, or something your uncle swore by, without ever sitting down and running the real numbers for your own life. The one that makes you rich is the one that fits how you actually live, and the one you'll actually stick with for 20 years without quitting. So do that. Figure out which of those 3 answers is you. Run your own real numbers, all of them, not the brochure version. Then pick your lane and start this month, because 20 years only works if you begin. And if this finally gave you the honest version instead of somebody picking sides, subscribe and stick around. Because everything on this channel is built to walk you from broke to free, one plain truth at a time.